Hello and welcome. And we're going to be talking about here in the month of March about parables. And so let's jump right into this in the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verses 1 through 5. It says this: "Judge not that you be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but you do not consider the plank in your own eye?" Yikes, that's pretty powerful words coming from Jesus. "Or how can you say to your brother, let me remove the speck from your eye, and look, a plank is in your own eye? Hypocrite, first remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." Now, interesting enough, Jesus actually uses the word hypocrite. Doesn't that seem kind of like a harsh word that we've come up with? You're a hypocrite. But actually, it was a theatrical term during that time. They had theatrics that I live in Vienna, Austria, and I've traveled now to many countries in Europe. And some of these countries have Roman theaters. And, during that time, in the Roman times, Rome had a huge influence on Europe and the world. But during that time, they had these Roman theaters, and they would have productions just like we have plays today. And they would put on characters. They would put on masks. They would put on outfits. They would put on different things to say that they're someone else. And actually, that was called a hypocrite. It was putting on another character. And basically, Jesus is saying, hey, don't be in theatrics. Don't be in this false identity or movie. Don't be somebody else. Look into your own life. Now, listen to these. Jesus does not forbid criticism or opinions or condemnation of wrongdoing. He doesn't say that we shouldn't not criticize or look down on things that are doing wrong. But what he does forbid, and Jesus is very clear here, it says that Jesus forbids fault finding. That overlooks our own shortcomings while assuming the role of the supreme judge in regards to the sins of others. So we need to realize that Jesus does not want us to have fault finding. Now I'm going to tell you a funny story. I had a wonderful family growing up. My father was a great man of God. His name was Roger Surratt. And he loved the Lord. He also traveled the world preaching the gospel. But growing up, I remember him and my mother were pastors of a church. But I remember after the service or maybe during the week, we would be talking, and a conversation, maybe me or maybe some a family member, whatever, would bring up and talk maybe negative or maybe judgmental about somebody else. And I'll never forget, my dad would say this: that might be true, but he would say this, but why don't you pray? Like I remember one time he said, "Josh, let's pray." And I said, "Yeah, we do need to pray for the person," not thinking that he's about to ask me to pray right now. And so he would say, "Okay, Josh, you go ahead and pray for them." And I didn't want to pray for them because I wanted to judge them. I wasn't looking at my own life. I wasn't looking at my own sin. I wasn't looking at the weaknesses in my own life. What I wanted to do is talk to my family and find fault in those church people or those friends or this person that I didn't like. But what happened is my father kind of pushed me, "All right, pray for them." And so at first I remember I said, the first time it happened, I said, "I don't want to pray for the person. I don't like to pray for the person. I don't even like the person." And I remember he's like, "Okay, if you can spend your voice talking bad about someone, you can also spend your voice praying about someone." So we all bow our head. I remember thinking, "Oh God, help this person." I just didn't want to get it out. But it came out. And just that simple prayer shifted my heart. Oh my goodness, I should not be so harsh and judgmental about somebody else's life. And it made me think about my own life. And it made me think, the Lord forgives me of my sin. The Lord helps me. He doesn't judge me. And so it actually created a tenderness on the inside of me, so that now I don't want to have that life of habitual judgment over people. But I look at my own life and I look at my own faults, and I thank the Lord for his forgiveness of me, and I have mercy and grace on other people. And so I hope this was blessing to you. This is the red letters of Jesus Christ, and I believe all red letters is something that we need to focus on and look at for our development and spiritual growth in our life. God bless you. Bye-bye.